go. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about something I've been thinking about, which is we're gonna talk about the technocrats or technocrat, or what is a technocracy, and how we see it today, or how we see technocrats behave today, or how we see characteristics of a technocracy today. So one person, I guess, a sort of utopia and technological future where is forced to work, or no one's forced to do anything, and there's an inherently that somehow this will bring people to self-realize what they want to do with their lives within this world of technology and abundance and cybernetics. Okay, so let's talk about someone who in today's times we see as these new technocratic revolutionaries, or and people who use technology in a way that helps most of the people, whether through speak about science or math or things like security, encryption, protection of privacy, and things like that. The most recent one is about a whistleblower who supposedly escaped to Russia and came from the surveillance contractors that came from the surveillance sector of the government, who decided to leak files because of his belief in privacy and everybody's privacy, and the right to consent what information you share, things like that. From what I remember, he wanted to let the public know the exact details of how the agency was collecting information from just about everywhere. So this was one recent case, but there was another person who was the founder of a website called WikiLeaks. Now, WikiLeaks I find to be very legitimizing of the internet, and it legitimizes publishing, news organizations, and it legitimizes more surveillance at the same time. So why do I say that? Why do I say that WikiLeaks legitimizes the internet? Well, obviously, if you look at WikiLeaks, if you were someone who was, say, browse the internet, for normal things like social media, a regular person who uses social media and maybe reads articles online. If you were to find this website called WikiLeaks that told you that this was the website where you can find out secret information firsthand from governments all across the globe, you would think that that's a great thing. You would think, oh, that's a good thing because these websites are keeping governments and authoritarians in check. But if you look deeper, inevitably most people will think it's a good thing. It's it's good for the internet. It's good that there's a place, an avenue where you can go and share information that hasn't been shared with the public. So that's how it legitimizes the internet. Now let's say how does it legitimize publishers and publishing networks and news organizations? Okay, so at the end of the day, this website's mainly just a place where people come and publish, whatever they want, right? Just another website that's hosted by servers somewhere, and from what I suppose, I guess people go to WikiLeaks believing that it's anonymous. So so my guess is their servers are somewhere, so secretly or somewhere where they're allowed to exist. So but at the end of the day, it's just a place where people come and print stuff, print text or print images or what have you. So it's basically like the same thing publishers do, same thing the New York Times does. It's the exact same thing. So, and not only that, they also gave information, or WikiLeaks gave information to places or news organizations like the New York Times, like the Guardian, and places like that. Well, they obviously had somehow gave their trust to the people that they are supposedly against. So that's, if you ask me, that's pretty weird. And at the same time, most people are gonna take it as a good thing, where leakers share information with news organizations like the Guardian, CNN, and the Washington Post or any other website like that. They're gonna, or newspaper, they're gonna work with them, and people will inevitably think that, because that they've gotten this first-hand information from this, this supposed leaker, it's somehow now going to be taken as truth. So now places like the Guardian or the Intercept are going to go and get the people who want to leak information that might be secret, that might be a secret. It might incentivize those people to go to the Intercept or the Guardian, places like that, to get things published and talked about. When in reality, all that's gonna do is gonna sabotage any of their efforts, and they will be shunned and called crazy before they even get a chance to actually talk about the internal problems of the places where they work. I, for one, would never trust news organizations that big or that prestigious. I think I would trust my neighbor than I would a $1 million company. So, that just seems weird, and it doesn't add up. WikiLeaks also legitimizes how the surveillance sector works. They also receive credibility by websites like WikiLeaks, because now that people can see what all the documents and details about surveillance on the internet wide in the open, means that the surveillance sector can be out in the open with all this stuff it's doing, and no one will care. So it's very convenient for the surveillance sector for there to be a website like WikiLeaks and the founder of WikiLeaks. And as for the founder of WikiLeaks, he's also in big trouble, in my view, because he clearly grew up in regular society, first world society. So, and this person more than likely reached a point in which you get swept into this fervor about technology that makes you believe that somehow technology is a revolutionary a tool that will free the masses to self-realization or self-sustainability or something of that sort, or somewhat of a utopianist mindset of tech and how tech can be used for fixing the world's problems. The founder of WikiLeaks is in my eyes this type of person. He's a person who believed in technology, believed in the powers that technology has given us to share information and to reach into the most secretive parts of society and publish every single piece of information on this tool that we've created. So my guess is that, in my view, that's the type of person the publisher is of WikiLeaks. Someone who wanted to prove that nothing is secret. But in the end, only became a convenient sacrifice for the surveillance sector, because now they can go after people, anybody who even resembles that type of objective. People like journalists, investigators. No, the surveillance agencies succeed in arresting this person and publicly shaming him. They will succeed in being out in the open against journalists and any type of investigative work. So at the end of the day, the founder of WikiLeaks didn't really do us a great favor. Didn't really do humanity a great favor by not thinking it through all the way and understanding that the internet is not a place that you should mess around in. And not only that, most of this stuff that WikiLeaks posted and revealed to the public, it no longer, it doesn't really make a difference. It only reveals to people what they've already known and suspected. If you've tinkered around with technology for even just a little bit, you'd understand that anybody who programs these devices can very easily send back analytics to another computer or another device and read information off of what you're doing on that device that's connected to the big internetwork. So I don't think that was much of a secret even back then, when the WikiLeaks website went up. And at the same time, if you've even just investigated the history about these technological devices, you would know that they were built by the military and by their objectives. So if their objective is to go out and kill people, what do you think their devices are built for? You think these devices are built for you to be maintained alive and helped and given nutrients? No, this device is a solid object for a reason, and with invisible powers. It is like that for a reason. So if you act as if this piece of technology is somehow gonna release you from the shackles of oppression, then you would be highly mistaken. Because why would your oppressors give you a tool that's gonna help you? That's just illogical. Especially for technology advocates. So there's that. So in the end, it's not good for us, and it's not good for people who consider themselves on the quote left, and it's very sad to see them to see these people believe in a very destructive idea such as the technocratic utopianist one. Because more and more if you see places like YouTube, Twitter, and big social media sites, you'll see many of these people who are the protectors of the oppressed, constantly advocate for using technology and for using these devices at high levels to fight back. And though it is a great piece of technology, it is aptable to help in certain ways, but at the end of the day, you can't just believe that all that information that you put on the internet is somehow safe and secure, or that it's somehow not going to be used against you. So it's funny to me whenever I see people online who are truthers, who go constantly on the internet to talk about problems in the world. So at the end of the day, this technology usually works for these groups to feel good about themselves whenever they post information online about people being oppressed in other regions of the world, like like places where war is being waged, so that they feel better about themselves, and at the end of the day, they never end up helping. They never really help them. So it's kind of saddening that that's the effort that most people are willing to put these days to help those that are oppressed, rather than actually help them or focus on them on the long term. They would much rather just post a story or write an article about them and post it online. so so if you just understand that line of logic, you would understand that these machines don't truly bring you freedom. They only bring you a liability. They're nothing but a liability. Every time you post things on here, people are gonna read it. Your enemies, your friends, and that's just. So it's at the end. So it's illogical to expect that by sharing information on a computer and on a network, that you're gonna somehow get people to reach out to these oppressed groups and help them and feed them or give them water or what have you. It just seems very silly, and nobody seems to honestly at least bring it up. And at the same time, these people believe that if we would just be able to bring our technology and our beautiful materials that we've created for each other to places, poor places in poverty, we can bring them out of poverty and bring abundance and a strong economy and raise the standard of living. And that's what a lot of these people subconsciously or consciously think. They think that if the same technology the first world uses, the third world can somehow come out of poverty and join the first world with their computers and their automated systems, which is a very dangerous idea. Mainly because the only people expected to work on these machines are of the first world. They are not from poverty-stricken areas where there's no technology and there's no information other than what's out in nature. So it's a totally different world that they're trying to bring, and it inevitably leads to a fascist state. So that's why I really watch a lot of, when I watch videos or anything that has to do with light waves and bits and bytes, I'm usually skeptical because of the fact that these people get taken in by the technocratic ideas so easily that they don't even think twice about it. And I'm especially skeptical of people on YouTube and political groups on YouTube and stuff like that, because these people have also grown up within the internet, within technology, and if people like the founders of WikiLeaks think that the creators of this technology and software don't know what people are doing on the internet, or what information they have stored on WikiLeaks, or where the servers or what servers are hosting WikiLeaks are, they're totally wrong. The creators of this software know exactly where all these servers are, where all the websites are hosted, everything. So whenever you're on the internet, you have to understand that nothing on there is a secret. This technology and these devices and this software will never bring real connections, like actually talking and doing things with actual humans. So at the end of the day, technology just makes more people more antisocial and unable to see the big picture. If you want to know another thing about these technocrats is that not only do they use technology to dominate and conquer, all of humanity, they also use general science. I'm not sure if you know the history of the odd way in which the HIV came into existence. If you look back in history, you would see that HIV was made by eugenicists and people who believe in genetic manipulation. HIV was first found in monkeys, and then somehow, as if it were magic, the virus seemed to have mutated onto humans. So how is it that a virus that only affected monkeys or inevitably jumped onto humans? So if you look back at that history, you'll find out that this virus, the mutation in this virus, was more than likely caused by scientists and in genetic research, or research in biochemistry, or research in chemistry and research in biology, rather than a natural mutation caused in the wild. And hopefully we'll be able to talk about the cure that may be out there for HIV sometime in the future. For now, we will leave it there. And for more information, come back and listen to the next one.